passion for cooking started back when I was around 3 years old. So I grew up in Guatemala. I'm actually Guatemalan American. So my mom is from Iowa. She moved down whenever she was 14 and met my dad there and ended up having family down there and stuff. But I was born and raised in Guatemala. 3 years old, I started cooking with my grandma. And it was just simple things, just like making cookies, or we would make pizza dough and then make like sheet pan pizzas. And I even have pictures of me in the kitchen. And it was just a fun time just spending with my loved ones. And I think that just grew into a passion for cooking. I didn't think it was going to be what I was going to end up doing. I went back and forth. I wanted to be an architect, a nutritionist, an astronaut, but, you know, what other woman doesn't? But around 16 years old, I decided that cooking was the thing that I wanted to do. So I started looking into cooking classes and stuff in Guatemala, and that's when I decided I wanted to come to the States and pursue this as a career. I started looking into culinary school, and I found the Culinary Institute of America. And at this time of my life, my parents were going through a divorce, so I kind of dove into cooking as a form of escape from my life, you know, just focused on baking and cooking, and that brought me peace, so I really enjoyed it. I graduated high school, and I knew I wanted to come to the States, so I fought with my dad a lot. He wanted me to stay. I ended up getting the okay from him, and I actually wanted to go to the CIA in New York, but my dad was like, no, mija, it's too far. Like, what if something happens? Flights to San Antonio are easier and faster, and I can get there if something happens. So I ended up saying okay and came to San Antonio, not knowing anyone. I moved here by myself. That was actually 10 years ago, so it's cool because San Antonio's celebrating 10 years with UNESCO, and I'm celebrating my 10-year living here. But yeah, I went to culinary school. Well, actually started off just cooking before I wanted to start culinary school. I just wanted to see that it was the career I really wanted, and just wanted to see what kitchens were like. And so I got my first job at El Sonio. It used to be in the Pearl, and it closed down already, but it was owned by Andrew Wiseman. But since it was my first job, I was very green. But the CDC there at the time, Christopher Spencer, he actually took me under his wing and kind of taught me all the basics of cooking. And those were the first 2 years of my career. I think it really taught me like hard work. I would work 6 days a week and pull like 60-hour weeks, and it was a lot. But I really enjoyed it, and it was fun, and I learned a lot. Honestly, the first 3 months that I started working in a kitchen, I didn't think I was gonna make it. I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first job. I was like, I almost got fired, honestly, because I don't know. After 3 months, it finally clicked in my brain, though, and I grew a lot. I started cooking at home and started making meals for my family, and then that grew into me cooking meals for my friends, actually. And I remember one time I made them like a 3-course meal, and I invited all my girlfriends over, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was it was like our own little dinner party. So that was one moment that I really remember. But actually, when I grew up, like, we didn't go out to eat a lot. It was a lot of just cooking at home with my mom and stuff. But once I told my parents that I wanted to be a chef, they were amazing. They loved it, super supportive. My dad started taking me out to fancy restaurants, and oh my goodness, he would embarrass me. he would be like, "Hey, can we talk to the chef?" And he would bring the chef out, and he'd be like, "Hey, my daughter wants to cook, like any words of advice," and blah blah blah. And I'd be like, "No, Dad, like you don't have to call him. It's okay." But no, that was a great time in my life. Well, I've been working at Michelin for 8 years now, actually. And all the food that we serve here is very research-based. We change the menu every 3 months, and we go to a different region or time in history in Mexico, and we actually work with UTSA libraries. They have a special collection library, so we do a lot of research with them. Every menu, I talk to the librarians and give them our ideas, and they pull books that reflect the menu that we're going to focus on. And so I think the food that I'm cooking right now is not really showing me. It's showing the culture and the people that we research. I want to cook food that respects their life and their culture, and yeah.
What's been one of the favorite menus or dishes that, I'm sure that's a hard question, with 8 years of different menus and research, but is there one that really stands out, or like a story that really stuck with you?
Yeah, it's funny because we change the menu every 3 months, so I think we focus on a menu super, super hard, and then when it's time to do another menu, we kind of just wipe it out of our brains and start new. So it's hard to remember the menus from the past 8 years, but there are certain dishes that I do remember. And if you tell me something like you ate at that menu, and then it comes back to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, we did this and we did that. But we did a menu a couple years ago. It was focused on women of Mexico, women chefs of Mexico, actually, and it was a collaboration with UTSA libraries. But we pulled a lot of old school books, like from the 1800s, 1900s, and a lot of these cookbooks were handwritten because us women, we cooked a lot, back then. And I think it's crazy to see how it's all about the men chefs now, and women have always been in the kitchen. So. Oh, another menu that I really liked was the porfiriato, which was back in the 1800s. It was a dictatorship in Mexico, and this dictator was obsessed with French culture, French cuisine. So that menu was a mix of Mexican, French cuisine. So that one was super fun. I enjoyed that one. We made a guava souffle, so that was really cool.
This is what gastronomy is all about. It's so much more than just the food. It's the culture as well, and the history.
Here we try to never stop learning. Learn something new every day, and once we start getting comfortable with a menu, that's when it all stops and we have to completely clear the board and start new. It's not like we just change one course, or we change the whole menu, we change the whole wine list, we change the whole bar as well. The bar comes out with new cocktails reflecting the menu as well, so that's super cool. So it's a lot because we constantly have to come up with new ideas, and it pushes us to be better, but also wanting to represent the menu properly too. And I feel like fine dining has gotten to the point where food is unrecognizable too, I think it's a lot of like experimentation and stuff, but I feel like at a point it looks great, but does it taste great, you know? So I want to be serving actual food. With my food and fine dining, I feel like fine dining gets a bad rep of that it's cold and just unfamiliar, you know? I want people to come to Michelin and just feel at home, especially since we're cooking food that like families have cooked for years and years and years. I want people to come in and taste this food and just feel nostalgic and thrown back, and I want it to hit an emotion that just takes you back, you know? I want you to feel comfortable, and that reflects on the service as well. Like, I want people to come in here and feel welcome, and we all really enjoy what we're doing here, so I want that to reflect in our food and in our service, and I know it's a lot of money that's spent on dinner, but I want you to leave happy, you know? I want to cook food that'll strike an emotion. And we actually just finally put our Michelin plaque up too, so that was another moment of like, wow, this is real. But moving to San Antonio, I never in my wildest dreams thought that this was ever going to happen. Michelin in Texas, and Michelin being the first Michelin star in Texas or in San Antonio. That's crazy.
I see your new Michelin tattoo.
Oh. Yeah, we did it as a team. We all went and got our tattoos together. So yeah, it was fun.
And it's a testament to all of the hard work that you've put in for all of these years.
It's definitely a team effort. We all pulled together and got it done. I think a restaurant as a whole is only as good as the team. So it's all about the people you surround yourself with. You have to choose wisely. You can't just let anyone in your corner. I mean, your future just reflects the people that you're surrounded with. So, I wouldn't take advice from just random people. You have to choose wisely who you want to follow and learn from. And yeah, another lesson I learned in the kitchen was your surrounding kind of reflects your mental state. So if your station is dirty, your mind is jumbled. So I take that into my home as well. So just keeping everything tidy and just mentally preparing yourself for the day is great. Well, first of all, I want to see more women in leadership positions, and also following this past year, I think 2024 was really hard on San Antonio's culinary scene. A lot of restaurants shut down, and that is so sad. It's horrible, but I think as a community we can come together and start supporting more locally. I know San Antonio has a lot of people come out during the weekends and stuff, but I think it needs to be a daily thing. Like, go out and have dinner, go out and have lunch on the weekdays too, because you can go to a place maybe once a week, but what about the other days of the week, you know? So just be more mindful and just spend your money locally. And it doesn't just have to be food. Go buy gifts at local shops. Go support local artists. Go see artwork and just support locally. Another thing we can do is just teaching the next generation. That's what I try to do in the kitchen, is always lead by example. And I may not know everything in the kitchen, and I still learn every day, but just helping each other out and growing together as a team, I think, just helps San Antonio as a whole in the future.